All right, students, here we are with fractions 23, and we are multiplying mixed numbers with a whole number. And I'm going to show you the way that every book tells you to do it, and then I'm going to show you the way that math people do it, okay? I'm going to show you the work smarter, not harder way. All right, so there is an easier way to do this, but first we're going to learn it the way that all the books tell you to do it, which is absolutely correct. It's just not the easiest way, all right? So when you're doing these problems, we have a mixed number times a whole number, okay? So the way that we're supposed to do these is change the mixed number back into an improper fraction. When we do that, we get 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14 thirds. So we get 14 thirds. Now, just as a reminder, remember that if we had 4 2/3, that would be the same thing as 1, 2, 3, 4 whole pies and 2/3 of a pie added together. So don't forget what your mixed numbers mean. All right, when we're doing this, this has got 3/3, 3/3, 6/3, 9/3, 12/3, 13, 14 thirds. So we turn the 4 2/3 back into an improper fraction, and then we multiply by 9/1 instead of just 9, and then we can see, oh, we have something we can cancel. We've got a 3 and a 9, so the 3 divided by 3 is 1, the 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 14 times 3 is going to be 42. 4 times 3 is 12, carry my 1. So I end up with 42 over 1 is 42. Now, that's the book way to do it, and it is entirely correct. But I usually do it a little easier, okay? And the reason I do is because I understand fractions and what they mean. So I want you to understand things as well as I do. So in my mind, I change 4 2/3 into 4 plus 2/3. 4 plus 2/3. And then I say, well, I've got to multiply each one of those by 9, okay? So I'm just going to, instead of times 9, I'm just going to put a 9 out here because that means multiplication. So I wind up with 4 times 9 is 36, and 2/3 times 9 is, well, 2/3 of 9 is 6. So when I add 36 plus 6, I get the same 42, but I get it faster. Okay, so this works whenever you have a mixed number and a whole number together. It's a little shortcut, okay? So let's do this both ways. Let's turn 5 1/3 into an improper fraction, which is going to be 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16 thirds, times 6 over 1. Now, can we see that my 6 and my 3 will both have a 3 factor? And then 16 times 2 is 32, and 1 times 1 is 1, so my answer should be 32. Let's see if we get the same thing when we do work smarter, not harder, okay? We're going to break 5 1/3 up into 5 plus 1/3, okay? And we're going to multiply by 6, all right? But I'm going to put the 6 on the front. Does it matter whether the 6 goes on the back or the front? Doesn't matter, okay? So 6 times 5 is 30, and 6 times 1/3, well, 1/3 of 6 is 2. So 30 plus 2 is 32, and I got the same answer. Little shortcut for mixed numbers times whole numbers, okay? Now, the next one, we're going to do both ways. We're going to turn 7 1/5 into an improper fraction. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 more is 36 over 5 times 5 over 1. And I can see that my 5's cancel with a 1 left over, and 36 times 1 is 36. And 1 times 1 is 1. So 36 should be my answer. Let's do it the fast way and see if we get the same answer. Okay? 7 times 5 is 35. And then 1/5 of 5. 1/5 times 5 is 1/5 of 5. 1/5 of 5 is 1. 35 plus 1 is 36. It works every time. Okay? Now let's come over here and let's do this one, and this one, and this one. Okay, now I want you to do it both ways. All right? 1 1/4 times 4. 3 1/2 times 2. 15 1/2 times 8. I want you to do that both ways, just like I did for you. I want you to pause your video and go give those a shot. Beep, beep, beep. All right, here we come back with our answers. When we turn 1 1/4 into an improper fraction, it is 5 over 4. And 5 over 4 times 4 over 1, the 4's will cancel out, leaving a 1 and a 1, and we get a 5. If we did it the quick way, we would say 1 times 4 is 4, and then 1/4 times 4 is 1, and 4 plus 1 is 5. All right, now let's do this one. I'm going to draw a little line because all my old work is kind of crowding my board. Okay, so we're going to move this over just a little bit so you can focus on the new stuff. 3 1/2 becomes 7/2. 2 becomes 2 over 1. But the 2 and the 2 will cancel, leaving me with a 7. All right, now if we were going to do it the fast way, we'd say 3 times 2 is 6. 1/2 times 2 is 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. All right, the last one's kind of big. 15 1/2 becomes 15 times 2 is 30, plus 1 more is 31 over 2. And then the 8 becomes 8 over 1. Notice that I have a 2 that is in both 2 and 8, so I cancel those and I get 31 times 4 is 124. But if I do it the faster way, I get 15 times 8 becomes 120, and 1/2 of 8, well, that's 4, and 120 plus 4 is 124. Bingo! Smarter, not harder. The key is they're both correct. They're both perfectly mathematical. You choose which one you want to do it. And again, this is only for mixed numbers and whole numbers. Very shortly, we're going to do mixed numbers, and this doesn't work so well with that. So we'll have to put them both into an improper form when we do that. And this is the end of fractions 23, mixed numbers with whole numbers, and we will come back with fractions 24. And this is Mrs. Carla, and may God bless your day.